Um, I played some games today. Um, one game I had trouble with. The other one was pretty good. It was a longer game that you could look more into, but the one that I had more trouble on is like 10 minutes. But I assume you probably want to look at the one that I had a little bit more trouble on because we had a Lucio, so I had to do most of the healing. So I couldn't really take much angles unless it was kind of just going with like our Genji because we had a hazard of Genji. It was more mobile. But I had to do most of the healing most of the time. So that was definitely kind of weird for me. But I can tell there's definitely a lot you could probably point out in this one.
Yeah, that makes sense. So that is the one you sent me, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, perfect, perfect. So you just struggled with taking angles, or is there anything else?
Mm, I guess this kind of decision making, I definitely found myself in spots where I was like, I don't think I should be here. But it was a pretty hectic game. It was like definitely pretty even on both sides. I think we were both pretty well matched up with this other team. It was like a lot of going back and forth, and there was a lot happening. And there's a lot of times I was using Suzu. I probably shouldn't have used Suzu, but there's definitely a lot of things you could probably point out to me in this where I
Yeah.
could do better, especially with the Lucio. I'm not. Isn't like Kiriko and Lucio considered a good pair?
Well, it can be, especially with the compositions where you need low healing output. It can be, to be honest. You're just gonna be that one main support. It's not like you're not gonna be able to take angles, but you just do that less. You will
Yeah.
be more focused on healing, and it's just mostly with the dive comms, it's gonna be really good. Sometimes even in Brawl could be possible as well, but depends. Usually Brawl dive, highly mobile comms, I think those are preference, usually. Okay, okay. Actually, regarding decisions, because you mentioned the Suzu, how the progress on that went. I believe we did discuss some of the Suzu before, just some of the triggers, when to use that, when not. So how that went for you?
I think it's definitely getting better. I'm starting to get to the point, especially with like a Genji or yeah, Genji's a good example. Waiting until he don't have his deflect to use it unless he has like a rock or something get thrown at him. Um, I'm definitely looking for like the defensive cooldowns more than I used to. This game, there was just a lot going on at one time, and there's a lot. I'm sure I probably shouldn't have threw Suzu when I should have, but I'm aware of it.
Yeah, it's still work in progress.
Yeah, but it's definitely getting better.
Yeah, and that makes sense. That makes sense. You can just write down that goal, still keep it. We probably will not talk about the same unless there is certain matchup you don't understand where you have to use the Suzu, but yeah, I think it's fine if it's work in progress. That's okay. What about adapting your playstyle depending on the team composition? That is something what we went over with you before too. How is that for you?
Yeah, it's definitely different. This game is kind of an example of doing that because we had a Lucio, so I was trying to play more around the team instead of taking really wide angles by myself, which um the only time I took angles is if I was going with our Hazard or Genji. But I stayed mostly around the team. I tried to take an angle by myself once or twice, like a good ways away from the team, and they just kind of died really quickly. So I quit doing it and tried to stay around them more. There's a lot of healing this game. I did more healing than damage.
Okay. Yeah, I think that makes sense. That makes sense. Just mostly looking at two things really. A range, angles. We can maybe discuss lens of that a little bit more as well. See the matchup, what they run, but generally speaking, those two questions should be helpful. The third one was also resources. Just look at your resources and theirs, see what your team is rushing around, and if you're able to just complement it, if you're able to be on the same page with the rest of your team with those big resources, you should be fine, to be honest. Okay, let's start with that code then. And is there anything else? What do you want to add? Maybe is there anything else what's been difficult recently?
No, this game I didn't feel like I did terrible this game. The times I died, I was like, there's times I was in the open and I was like, am I even just why am I here? And I found myself in places I shouldn't even been. Just wide out in the open, easy to get hit. But there's some Sigma ults this game. He got our hazard, and I was wondering if I should use Suzu to uh hit like a tank. If our tank is a good amount of health and he's in a Sigma ult, should I just hold the Suzu because I use Suzu every single time?
Hold Suzu for enemy ultimate. That's what you're asking.
So the first time I used it and I got caught in a Sigma ult with our hazard,
Yeah.
I used it and that's fine because I was caught in it too. So it definitely helped me. But the other time, it was just our hazard that was caught in an ultimate, the Sigma ultimate. He had almost full health, but I hit him with Suzu anyway, and I don't know if I should do that if he's full health.
Mostly for the tanks, I don't think you do have to hit the Suzu unless there's nothing else going on. But realistically, if they're using the ultimate, you usually expect any sort of commitment later. If your tank is full HP, usually you don't even need to use something. I think watch for the additional follow-up, because the tank ultimate is good to initiate with, kind of CC someone and just keep them in a space so the rest of their team can do damage. For example, Ryan uses Shadow. Shadow itself is not doing much, but the follow-up of the Shadow, maybe Ryan goes for the pin, or there's also something else like Annonade, maybe anything else with more bursty, then we can start using the Suzu on them, I think. Ultimate itself, I don't think it's good enough reason to just ult Suzu the tank, I mean.
Okay.
Yeah, usually it's that, to be honest, but for the squishies, I think it's fine. You still can let them take a little bit of damage. Obviously, don't solve it right away, but yeah, it's okay. Most of the time. Okay. Is there anything else? Any other questions? Any other difficult parts when you
I think
struggled?
sometimes occasionally it happens in this game where I don't know where everyone is, like on an enemy team. Like I might TP away, or because there was times I died and I was in the open and I didn't even know I was around so many enemies that I just die. I guess just kind of keeping track of where everybody, all the threats are.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, it definitely can be the difficulty as well a lot of times. Ideally, you support, you should be able to just know where the enemy threats are, and in general where your team is, so you can just take space accordingly. You can set up, you can TP away. I think that's a pretty big thing. Yeah, you're right. Okay, makes sense. Okay, so it's a little bit of awareness, a little bit of just how do you play the matchup, and that's it, it seems. Yeah, is there anything else?
That should be it for now.
Yeah, that should be it. Okay, yeah, let's look at those topics then. I'm just gonna mark on the spreadsheet so I'll not forget. Okay, now let's do it. Let's see what we got. Now, that's pretty mobile composition if you look at it,
Yeah.
but what do you think your playstyle is gonna be here? Even with the Lucio right now. What does it look like?
More dive. I was just thinking, well, I'm gonna have to do most of the healing, so I'm probably gonna be with the dive most of the time.
Okay.
Because
Who's your priority target to be with?
I always look at Genji.
Yeah, Genji most of
Genji
the
or
time.
Doom. Genji or Doom usually what I look at. But if there's a Genji, I usually play with a Genji. But isn't Lucio if you play Lucio, isn't he a dive? Kind of like I don't know how you play Lucio. I think isn't he more of a dive character too, kind of like Kiriko, like the same idea.
The thing is, you can play Lucy with a dive, but his kit is more of a brawl kit because his aura there's a
Mhm.
big preference if you have people stacked up on you. When you have the aura, this healing or the speed boost, you can speed boost people in and out, especially with the speed boost. That's really important for last mobile comms. That's why he's really good with the brawl comms, and there's no use of Lucio and poke comms most of the time. With the dive,
Mhm.
he's mostly suitable because of how mobile he can be. He can just support so many things as well, like you do on the Kiriko. He can go anywhere, but the speed boost is not as needed. And just maybe can use some of the healing to also stabilize after the dive, but yeah, it's mostly brawl, but he's also can be suitable in the dive. To answer it short, does it make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is how it usually goes. I think you're right. You're probably gonna stay with your Genji. You also can look at into when your Doomfist dives in. But to be honest, it's not like you're gonna be sitting on main too. If you look at the team comp here, the dive. If you're thinking about the angles, are we gonna be more split or stacked with this comp?
Probably more split.
Probably more split. And
Well,
if you also
yeah.
know their composition, is it still remains the same? You remember we're trying to compare two compositions. Who is playing how?
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you think?
Symmetra's got TP also. I'm not sure.
So how do you understand? You playing stacked or split? What is the main criteria you look at?
Just the mobility, our mobility
Mobility?
compared to their mobility.
Yeah, okay. Who's got more mobility?
Probably us.
Yeah? So you play split. You're gonna be starting
Okay.
split on the angles, and afterwards you can
hmm
try to go after something. Probably their sim is the weakest link. I think
Yeah.
BAP can also be okay. Frey is more challenging. Even Sigma can be okay, but that's how you do it. Just start with the angles, and you can go from there.
Yeah.
It's just what is your job is because you're supporting your mobile DPS, you can swap between the Genji and Doomfist, but it's not like you're gonna be stuck on main, and your Lucio can also try to support more stationary targets. Overall, his job is to enable the dive first, but also just disable the enemy from doing something towards your gas, because gas is more stationary. They don't have any mobility, so he can boot people away, he can just try to display something. That's it. But that's doesn't mean that we cannot put a lot of pressure, to be honest. But let's watch. Let's watch. Let's watch. How is that gonna be?
Here at the beginning, I had to sit here and I was trying to go with Genji, but then
That's
our
good.
Cassidy was getting a lot of damage, so I had to sit here and pump him for a second.
Yeah, there's a lot of happening towards the gas.
Yeah.
So let's see what Genji
Mhm.
does. When you staying here, Genji is finding fine angle. Okay, I think it's understandable. Maybe when they get in lower, you can try to support it down a little.
Yeah.
Doomfist dies. Okay. I think it's fine. You start in the angle, afterwards you see what is the most active, you can try to enable that. I think the only problem is maybe watching when the actual dive happens, and then try to also stay there. Is there's a point of time where I could have done so. I did use Suzu on the cast, which can be reasonable, because he got rocked there. And then your Doomfist goes in, and then there's a Genji, who's on the left side. Not sure with this here. Should I remain on this angle? Well, kind of healing the Doomfist from here too.
Yeah, I was trying to leave. I wanted to go with the Genji, but every single time he would just keep getting damaged and damaged and damaged. I didn't want him to die, so I was just trying to keep him up and
Yeah, I think it's reasonable. The only nitpick here, it's your uptime with the healing damage. Just remember the small things as well, because you can do the healing, you can also sneak in one shot. I think that's what's important. Even
okay.
though you're trying to sustain there, I think you need to search for opportunities to just sneak in an additional shot, because you have time to do that between the footers normally. That's the only thing. Maybe this can allow you to just get a little bit more pressure, because I think the angle itself is fine. You're trying to surround those guys, probably dive the weakest link afterwards. Fundamentally, I think it's okay. The execution maybe you can work with that a little bit more.
Okay.
Is what it feels like. At least this engagement. Okay. How are we starting with this here? Supporting the Hazard, that's okay. The being the most active now. You can think about setup with the Genji and then look for the Hazard. Mostly needs Suzu when out dive is ready over there. Yeah. Genji's trying to fight there. Still not the time, not the time. Yeah, this one is more complicated. So if you look, the Genji's fighting this way, and there's a Hazard over here, and the point pressure is this way, but you have your ultimate. Kind of see two people going over there, which slightly distracts you, but let's just think for a second. When we're trying to play split with the dive, and if you also know what target you're diving, ideally, it can be any stationary, any less mobile target. What area can allow you to most likely execute the dive on the target? Yeah, if we're talking about any stationary, for example, this sim, right? Where should you be right now so it's easier for you to do? So what do you think?
To execute the dive on the sim?
Yeah, potentially. Let's just start with what is that area where your team probably will be fighting, where they will be diving? What is that area?
The kill zone?
Yeah, which one? Where is that?
Probably right here in the middle.
Yeah, right here. Oh, it's just gonna be in the middle of the street. Yeah, but the dive starts from multiple angles. Ideally, you want to be split. You have this angle A, you have this angle B, which B is fighting for a little bit, but the point of fighting is also try to execute the dive later on. And here we kind of have an awkward situation. If we commit too much, then there's gonna be hard to also execute the dive there. So I'm thinking if we're trying to dive over here, where should you be to make it easy?
Probably closer towards A to where I could see more.
What was it towards say? Is there anywhere else as well we can be on the map? What if we go down there, for example? Which can also be fine. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, possibly. You see, your idea is, and this can be we can look through the lens of dive versus poke matchup, or just maybe more. They also got some brawl going on, but yeah, overall, let's just call it more pokey, because they have poke advantage versus you because of the BAB, because of the Freya, because of the Sigma. Ideally, you just want to find the weakest link, the stationary target you want to dive. Yeah, so it comes down to target priority, and before that, you just make sure you stage. Yeah, you just need to make sure you have the position, and you exactly want to fight for those angles which allows you to stage. So, for example, here, if I'm fighting this, is it gonna do too much? Yeah, to our dive. Yeah, is it gonna be helpful to dive here? Yeah, maybe a little bit, but those are not the most ideal targets to fight too. Yeah, it just might be a little bit difficult. Yeah, exactly. The angle control is important, but at the same time, I'm thinking that we cannot commit too many resources there. So you have to scout, see where they are, and set up accordingly. And because you also know what kind of divers you can swap between, you can always look into, okay, who is probably closer to just diving the right target, yeah, just be on that sim or be on that Baptiste, and let's just set up accordingly, I think. So in this case, you will enable Hazard a little bit more instead of the Genji, probably. And it's a little bit tough here, but yeah, you just want to look into where my team wants to dive in, the most convenient angle for me to take. Let's put it this way. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna write it down. Where do we want to dive? And the most convenient angle to take, because target priority can always educate your positioning as well. You start with thinking, okay, those are good targets. What kind of the best position I can take? What kind of the best angle I can be at? Okay, so how to set up just the best angle. Usually gonna be a split as well. I'm trying to just make sure we get as many angles as possible, because here it's gonna be tough. If you fight face to face, just might not be executing the dive there. I wanna say you guys can easily kill this in most of the time. If it's possible, if you can synchronize, maybe even in comms sometimes, Genji, Hazard, just dive in on the Symmetra. That's the most ideal. Now you're starting again thinking, okay, what are the best targets who I can enable at the moment? A little bit awkward when I start here, but yeah, sure. Okay, your Hazard goes in, and then we also have the Genji over there, which we're trying to survive a little bit at the moment. Yeah, what do you think about now? What are the targets you're searching for? Let's put it this way, and who you need to stay with, so you dive on those targets right now. What do you think? As Genji's also using Blade. Can keep that in mind.
If he's using Blade, I should probably go help enable him.
Who you diving currently? Who can be your more priority target? What do you think?
Is that Stem dead?
Sim Dad, yeah. Just died to the deflect, it seems.
The closest was Kiri. She would have like a TP and Suzu. Or and there's a lot of mobility between the two Frey also. Yeah, she TP's away. So yeah, so here yeah, he's going after them. So I would go with Genji maybe and help him.
Yeah. The Genji's a priority, and then you just need to have the most convenient angle possible. Ideally, if you have time to set up beforehand, that's perfect. Now, we just at this area, so whatever allows you to enable him a little bit more, maybe try to TP in a little bit more, maybe just try to put extra attention from here. I think that's fine. Just later on, I think this can be something we can also TP to instead of here, where we still enabling Hazard, and now Genji still active with the Blade. Yeah, it's less of priority, it seems. Also, the target's given. Yeah, you dive into Sigma, which is not ideal. Just go find a way to get to the other targets. And you know, Genji already went on the left. Of course, the part is, do we exactly know that? We have to scout that as well. See, are they actually down the backline? But you're probably expecting them to go there. And they exactly went after Frey and Bap later on. So that's something you want to usually get rid of first. At least with this comp, their tank, by the way, if you're thinking about the matchup, dive versus poke, usually their tank is going to be trying to bait you to dive. Okay? That's how this matchup works a lot of times. Maybe they not necessarily have to understand that, but I also saw before, when you get distracted with the tank, the Sigma went on the angle, you distracted with them, that makes it easy for the rest of their poke to just go in and prevent you from doing anything, because you're already diving the Sig. So he absorbs all the pressure. Yeah, he absorbs everything, and then they can easily kill you after. You need to just go after their back a little bit more somehow. Find the most convenient angle possible. Think where you can be. Yeah, for example, here I'm at this angle. Okay, that seems fine. Maybe. Yeah, you can kind of enable your Genji, Hazard. You also see their backline. I think that's okay. And afterwards, you search for another target. See who that might be. Now it's just the end of the fight, so I think you'll be okay. Is the round where you get a setup? Again, think who you will stay with. Okay, they're both here, so it's sort of fine. What do you think about using the Killer ultimate here? Is that something what is easy for your divers to go for? This seems like there's sim inside the building, but yeah, what do you think?
I thought it was a good one. They just I don't know why they backed out. I'm
They
not
just
sure.
could have committed a little bit more, yeah. It can be reasonable, it seems, yeah, because of the where your divers are.
Yeah.
Because they can
I mean,
jump in. You put the extra pressure, you can be okay.
yeah.
Just
I had if it was just Genji with me or just Hazard with me, I would have maybe second thought it, but since they were both here, I thought it was okay.
yeah, I think it's relatively fine. The only thing I wanna say with the dive, it's okay on paper. Try to do that, but in the context to the objective, because your job is to move the objective as well. Is it necessary for you to ult now? Yes, it's good to ult in this space to enable. Yeah, good target, maybe a fine setup, but what about the timing? Can we
Yeah, the
wait
timing might have been
longer?
off.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So
could have waited longer.
yeah, just slide them more because in the context of the point, they're not doing anything yet. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, this is how this matchup can be played. I'll just explain. This is a little bit more complex idea, but still, it's relative to what we discussed with you before. I see the thing with the dive is your space can be pretty volatile. It can go anywhere. You can try to dive in their backline. You can try to just go anywhere on the angles. And the idea with the timing can be pretty easy. It's just if anybody walks into your kill zone and does something, then you can dive whatever you want. The most convenient target. You, if the fact given, we know the targets. Okay, this is good target. Check mark. We also set up check mark, but we also need something to happen towards the area where your kill zone is, where the actual fight will ideally should be happening. So in theory, this angle and this allows you to dive this yellow area. Okay, and if something happens in the yellow, then ideally we'll be diving. Okay, that's why it might be a little bit awkward because you also don't want to be giving up this too much. Yeah, so I don't know, you gotta play it slower behind the cover and everything, maybe bait them to push you more. But this is gonna be more convenient because now you can choose. You can either fight in this area and just stop anybody from contesting the point, you can quickly kill them, or you can quickly kill this Symmetra. I've Sim is over here walking, and because you killed that Symmetra, it does more indirect pressure in this area where the rest of your Cass and Lucio fighting. See what I'm saying? It's just trying to time it this way. Once they walk in, do something, okay, I can dive, whatever is available to me. Not necessarily in the kill zone even. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, this is a little bit more complex idea, but okay, I'm just gonna write it down. Kill zone. If they make a commitment, they walk forward in the kill zone, then we gonna look for the dive. It's only applicable for the dive comms if you have this. As I see with
Why do you
this,
think they?
yeah.
Why do you think they backed out here?
Your team?
Yeah, these two.
I think
thought we
partially
definitely
because of where you want to fight. I think there's a kind of feel that the point is over here, and this space we're trying to claim is this, where we can also fight for this space still. Yeah, we just a little bit too far away, and it's just mentally blocking because we probably will take a flight here anyway. But we're setting up a little bit too further up, yeah, too far up. That's what I mean. So to me, it's more convenient for them, and you just want to make sure something's happening. Maybe ideally they start walking through here, this line, and it will be okay most of the time because they have to stop the point. They have to do something. If they don't, your point's getting pushed. And if they're pushing you, okay, you can just try to give up some space. You maybe force them in a trap where the rest of your team can dive in and do something as well, and the rest of your angles can also do something to Gas and Lucio. So that's why partially I think, because they feel like if they commit too hard, then there's gonna be more punishment from the enemy team. More mental block. Yeah, I understand the ultimate though. I think it can be reasonable. It just so the matchup perspective, just a little bit more nuances are important there too.
Yeah, I was hoping for just an early pick, then we'd have an advantage for like a 5v4 or something, but we just didn't get it.
Yeah, it's good to have an advantage. You just wanna have it later if possible. It's okay for you to, because you burn into time anyway. It's better to have that advantage in 10 seconds compared to have it now, usually.
Yeah.
On the paper. Obviously, if you recognize that you have to give up the resources that much so you'll not get advantage 5v4, then maybe you can start earlier. But in your case, the way you did setup and the way your team was with you with full resources and everything, I don't think you cannot get 5v4 advantage later on. You still probably will be able to do that. Yeah, there's even the other point of view. If you force your teammates to commit a little bit too much, like when we've been inside the room on that left side, yeah. Over here, if they commit too much, then they don't have resources when it's crucial, and you just bait them to push in, waste something, then they die because of it. It's just not necessary sometimes. Because they feel like, oh, Kiri ultimate, the Genji dashed in, right? Maybe they are forced to use deflag. Hazard, they didn't jump, but still, maybe they need a little bit more positional commitment too. So it's more complicated. Yeah, well, here, it's okay. So got the beat. I'm kind of diving from front to front, but sure. Okay, trying to enable the Genji a little bit more, if possible. Have the convenient angle, seems. Just help them out.
Yeah.
Okay, what happened?
The symmetric killed me.
Yeah. Just a little bit over. Okay. And this obviously, just try it to be away. Should be okay.
Yeah.
Happens. At this point, it's just resetting.
Yeah.
You also have your ultimate back now, and that's great. We can try to do the same thing. Okay, targets. How do I set up the best angle possible to fight the target? They walk in the kill zone, let's do something. Yeah. A little bit awkward, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, that was one of the situations where I just wasn't aware of everything around me, and I got killed from somewhere else.
Yeah. This is where I think the big difference is just what target we're diving, and make sure you set up for it so you're not exposed to unnecessary damage to you. I'm not sure, what do you think you should do with this, with your position here? What do you think? Samatter is gone. Who you diving? And what is the most convenient angle you can take to make sure you're diving that person?
Well, the Sigma's there. And then the Kiri and Freya are by themselves.
Yeah. Okay. But so
thing is, our team's like more focused on the Sigma.
yeah. What are our dive angles now? It's this Genji and this Lucio. Yeah, we're trying to sound here, sort of this area. Okay, what was the ideal target for you to go for? Probably. There's Bap and Sig. What do you want to choose? Ideally.
The BAP.
Yeah, if you can, probably the BAP. If they're not entering this, then you go after Sig. But because you make a commitment choosing something, I think it will be easier. At least we're not just that far back and unnecessarily getting damage from this. Yeah, because we're diving this angle, so we don't want to be exposed to that damage. Yeah, it's partially we got killed by the BAP, but see, there's a lot of damage coming in from here. Because you just forgot about this. Just set up the dive. Okay, most convenient dive, the best angle where we can dive. And set up there. And ideally, this will be happening when something will happen in kill zone. Ideally, you kind of sit here, okay, then something starts happening in this area, maybe this guy starts walking, and then you go after the BAP. Ideally, you might seem a little bit awkward, but maybe play around here, maybe try to hug this wall. I think this is okay. This wall, it can try to wall climb, go over here. So you're not exposed to unnecessary damage too much.
Yeah.
Okay. Now this part is where you can leave it, I think. Just let him be. This guy is not gonna do much damage right now. He can rather enable the dive. Oh, this guy's AFK. Okay. That's fine. Ultimate's there for a while too. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the team is over here. Hold your divers, yes. And if you can disable this with Sudo, this is perfect, but I'm just looking at this and thinking, when is the best time for you to hold in here? What do you think?
I was actually looking to ult, and then they got hit with that, and then they died, and I couldn't hit them with Suzu because it just wasn't off cooldown just
Yeah,
yet.
so it's kind of just don't use it
Like I was
now
looking
because of
for
it.
it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
There's a time
I might have been
before.
able to use it sooner. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a time before as well. I'm thinking the target you're choosing to dive in C or the sim, this can be okay, but just the fact, given where your dive angles are, I think you have to be there. You have to be confident that this works. Because if it's not working out, if it's not, you're not getting this big, then this entire dive is gonna be really tough to pull off. I think you gotta find the most convenient angle, choose what are you diving based on the priority list. Yeah, to helping out your divers. In this case, Freya, Kiriko, I think is fine. Yeah, if they diving sim with you, that would be even better, but they're not, so you just need to make sure you enable this, and this way your ultimate can be fine, because there's a lot happening in the kill zone already. Just enable that pressure can be alright, I think. Still a bit tough because the team is coming back, but yeah. Still, I think you can create enough advantage. Okay. Okay. That's relatively fine. You see they're walking the kill zone. Okay, there's Hazard's ready. I think there's also Lucio on this side. The rest of the team is a little bit too far. Yeah, this area can work. Just need to. There needs to be more patience somehow. You guys.
Yeah.
I guess a little bit too much
Kind of.
commitment right
Yeah.
now. Not sure about this one. It can kind of work though, because you're choosing the Symmetra, but ideally you also need the Genji. If possible, if you wait for that, it would be even better, because this is the DAF area. Okay, we have convenient angle to DAF Symmetra, good, more stationary target, and they kind of walked in the kill zone perfect. We just also ideally need the Genji there too, and it would be even better. So afterwards, when you do all of this, they can easily follow up the blade or something. Well, luckily we had a high noon, so it's okay. Alright. How the next fight's gonna be? Okay.
This is when I was by myself for the first time just to try it, and then
Yeah, this is what I mean. You can do that, just do that in the areas where your teammates are diving. You think, okay, what is the next target we're gonna go for? And what is the best possible angle which allows me to set up that pressure? So where do you think you should be right now? What is the angle you should take?
try with the Genji.
Yeah, just go with the Genji. and then afterwards you kind of wait, something happens in the kill zone. When these guys start walking and you set up the dive, you can even have your split angle, but you have to be intuitive here. Yeah, this maybe can work, or at least with your Genji over there, but this is way too far. You need to be around your dive angles somehow. That's about it. Okay. So how would we put it? Now, the first question was target priority. Okay. Think where we wanna dive. Okay, just looking at your team. It's kind of point A. Another thing is, think what are the targets you're diving? It's just about the enemy team. Okay, we with I think where we wanna dive, you just look. Yeah, look your angles. Watch what how those are set up. Because sometimes those might be not the best, but because you know the priority list, the second question, thinking where the targets are diving, it makes it easy. You know, just write it down here. So what are the targets diving? It's enemy. Okay, and here watch your angles. And you can set up accordingly. We're trying to take the best angle where we can dive. You can play split as well. And just with your timing, the execution, it's gonna be kill zone. Just when the commitment happens, to make commitment, you look for the dive for the most part. That's about it. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, that doesn't make sense, this workflow, kinda. Maybe any questions?
No. I just have to process it, think about it a bit more.
Yeah, maybe it's something easy to start with. They're good angles. They are good targets you're trying to go for. And I think what angle is allowing you to do so. Maybe let's put it this way. Because that, how far we are, yeah, I'm thinking, okay, what are the possible, yeah, this can be Symmetra, this can be the Baptiste, this can be maybe even Kiriko, and I'm thinking, this here, if I look at the divers where they are, this far is not possible. We're diving somewhere over here. It seems we're trying to set up the dive. So I want you to, well, I don't know. What are your possible angles? You have multiple opportunities. My team walks A. If this is our dive area in Syria, you can be, well, where do you think? Right away. If not stacking with your team, where as well?
I could be on main too, close to main.
Yeah, even main can be an angle too. Yeah, even
that is if everyone is at A and then main is technically another off angle.
Yeah, it's already an off angle. Yeah. Okay. Any other option?
Is that doorway still considered main?
Well, it can be just a little bit different angle though, right? Let's call it B1. So this is also an option. It can also be this B2 from here, kind of, but this is really far from where you are for sure. So it's kind of one of those options over there. Honestly, it's just making it easy for you. That's how you decide. You set up accordingly. Set up where you can do something with your dive. Yeah. And this whole things considered, we should look into go after the good targets and help out our divers. Yeah, that's it. Okay. I'm thinking we can potentially, I'm not sure if we get the same matchup. Maybe we can do some of this in the live game as well. Just make sure you have the best position possible where you can enable something to be happening. Yeah, maybe we can choose any active angles. Yeah, let's put it this way. Why we enable the divers? Because they are the most active. This is your win condition. This is how you win. Okay. Now we can think about what are the most active angles and set up accordingly so you can enable things there and should be okay. We can try to do a live game, possibly. If you have another replay, we can also look at this a little bit more. Yeah, do you have any other with other problems or something? Or like maybe similar?
I have another replay with Ball and Genji.
Hmm. I can look at that real quick. Yeah, same
Okay.
same ideas. Yeah, we can also do that. Okay. Okay, so it's gonna be enable your dive while choosing the best target possible. Yeah, that's how you're gonna position most of the time. Yeah. Okay, let's look through the lens of this idea because your comp, if this is the ball, this is pretty mobile too. I think. Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, overall, this is gonna be same idea. It's only that they kind of go in a more broad direction, but the main difference is only that we can use more open space. We're not that afraid of poke, I think, and you can surround them even more. They have less mobility, so it's gonna be even more crucial. When they walk into the kill zone, you can do something from there. Okay, let's watch anyway. What do we got? Okay, set up, enable your dive. So it's gonna be Genji, ball. Okay, you start with your ball, and then you think about the targets. If you look at the enemy team, what are the potential targets you're going for?
Really anybody except the Rhine.
Yeah, anybody. Live viewers seems a bit awkward as well, I think, sometimes, because of how much escapes they got, but on priority list, if we would create priority list, what the number one priority?
I always try to get an 8 out of Cassidy. I
Yeah,
always target
yes.
Cassidy. Pretty much, I would target the Torb, the Cassidy, or try to get Lamp out of Baptiste.
Hmm,
That's
okay.
probably what I'd.
So, first priority is Cass, second is Torb,
Yeah,
and
and then third
and
Bab.
then maybe Bab, yeah? I think, yeah, overall, it can be slightly harder to go off the bat because of their verticality sometimes, but yeah, I think any of those will do. Gas seems the easiest one because of just how less mobility the guy can sustain to. So probably let's search those and see now. You can enable the dive while just making sure you go after those most convenient targets. Yeah, this is where you scout. Okay, what targets we going for? You got the Torp, your ball keeps fighting. Yeah, splitting is really good as well. Cass is dead. Yeah, okay, that's it's looking good for now. Okay, now again, setup, enable the dive. And see, by the way, just the concept of the kill zone. Your divers go after convenient target. Okay, I'm choosing what is the best target. Now, it's BAP, and maybe it can also be live fever as well. But I do this at the time when something's happening in the kill zone. I see this Ryan walks in, and they're doing something. You don't have to go after them, but you can just do your own thing where the diver is active. So you just enable them right now. And this looks good. Yep. If you can, maybe stay even more here. Yeah, okay, I
Yeah, I just
think we
don't want
have
to
to
die here for the
escape.
Bab.
Yeah, that's alright. Okay. Just gotta reset up a little. Okay, Genji's over here. Ball is dead, so it's okay. Maybe start with here. I think extra attention. Extra attention to Genji, but it just depends on what the target they're diving. Well, what do you think now? Just any. Let's just go back. And is anything we could have done about this? Because I think this fight is pretty chaotic, but still. And the ball gets charged, and then afterwards, but we sustain, walk in, the Genji's over here, and this dive happens. Your ball goes in, and the Genji's over here. What do you think your decisions should be right now? What's your position, especially? What's your thoughts? Do we remain here? Do we go with them? What do you think?
I would think help the Genji with this because it has more pressure, but also he's targeting Torb on the dive, so it could be an easy kill potentially. But then Genji's gonna die, but he does end up dying.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know, but I couldn't really. I was focusing more on the damage than keeping the Genji healed up.
Yeah, well, but the damage towards who? Remember, divers are going in. You have split focus. You have 2 divers right now. It's the ball and it's the Genji. Okay? Now, what are the more convenient targets for you to go for right now? This live here or this Torb?
Well, on my position here, it'd probably be the Life Weaver, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but you can also change the position, right? Because of your TP. So
Or TP with
that's why
Bard
it's so
against Torb.
tricky. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Torb has
your space volatile.
the Torb doesn't have any mobility either.
Yeah.
Life Weaver has the pedal.
Now, what do you think of your TP towards the Torp? I mean, you're towards that ball,
The
and
ball.
then just try to get this Torp,
Yeah,
for example. Could that work?
yeah, I could. And then if we get the kill there, then we have another angle behind them, and we'd have them pinched.
No, no. This is what I mean. You just need to enable your dive. Although sometimes the dive is not in all one place synchronized, but choose what is the diver who's doing something. Now you have 2 divers. Remember, convenient targets. Life Fever is not convenient. You can choose your position accordingly to that. You can set up as your TP and just go after the Torp. Obviously, you have to play more safe because you use your TP, but that's okay. You might even notice at the high tier Kiriko play, whenever there's dive happening, when the Winston jumps in or Ball rolls in, they sometimes TP in to just secure the kill and make sure they execute the dive. Yeah, maybe also support the active diver too. This way, maybe we can Suzu, like in your case, you can TP the Ball, Suzu that too if needed. Stuff like that. It's not as bad. You just want to play cover afterwards, after you're done the TP. Does it make sense?
Yeah. So when is there times that I should not go in with them?
When you should not. To be honest, I think it's more. Well, if you play with the divers, I think it's most of the time you do go with them.
Okay.
But the thing is, it's just a lot of times you could also be a lot of characters that could be doing better job setting up before the fight too, so you don't even have to use your resources too much. Yeah, just your positioning as well, I think.
Okay.
But of course, there's some exceptions. I'm thinking, obviously, if this guy dives in alone, nothing's happening right now. Yeah, and my team is not taking a fight, then I'm not diving with them. This can be one exception. All these exceptions are pretty obvious, I think. But now there's something's happening in Killzone. Yeah, our Ryan is in. This is also Cassidy walking, Laffy walking. Okay, stuff happens in the Killzone. I can do anything I want to just help out the dive. Once they walk in, I choose the best angle possible and just go there, I think. Jump in because they commit the dive right now. I think you probably, if you save that ball and kill the Torp, I think you can win the entire point. Even though your Ashe died, it's fine. Your Ashe is not your main problem. It's not something you will focus on too much. You kind of can focus on them later after you executed the dive. Yeah. It's kind of, remember the hazard example. We also don't have sometimes to even jump in with the TP. It's just a good tool sometimes if there's nothing else we could have done. But you can also set up better too. Like a lot of times we were doing. This allows you to anticipate. For example, here, where do you anticipate your divers to be? Maybe in the choke, and you can enable that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Genji gets picked off, but and here, kind of watch your ball, watch the Genji, see what they do. And ideally, you should look for the dive once these guys start walking. So see that Torb walking. Okay, they're walking the kill zone. I choose the most convenient angle for me to dive for. I'm not sure. This one, you might even look for a separate kill, but I don't think you can do too much. Probably diving this is okay in this case. Okay. Yeah, there's nothing else. You see the diver's already there, so we don't have to. Let's just shoot those guys. You alone, you can't do much. Unless there's a clear 1v1 we can win. Yeah, kind of won some of the pressure there, but it's just easy. You execute a kill, okay, go for it, someone else, then someone else, and it's gonna be okay. Yeah. Yeah, for example, here, you see this 1v1? I think
Mhm.
it's something you can take on your own, yeah? Your own dive angle. Now, this ball is over here, but this is a convenient target for you to shoot for as well, yeah? One of the priority targets. You have that right in front of you, so you can potentially kill them too. At least
Okay.
you force out the lamp. Yeah, force out the lamp, you can get
Yeah.
out. It's fine. Yeah. Okay. Okay, we set up with the ball, so we don't have to waste a lot of our resources. Your ball goes in, and the Genji
Mhm.
goes in, and this is unironically. What do you think about TP in now? Actually, what if you TP in with the Genji?
That's what I was debating here because I don't remember why I didn't VPN, but I was thinking about going in right now. I don't know if I ever did or not though.
Yeah. Ideally, that would be perfect. I think this is one of the
Yeah.
times the dive is committing doing something. I can start to maybe also look for a little bit better setup close angle because oh, why the dive's happening? Why it's happening there? Because the targets are what? Torp, Cassidy, and Baptiste. See how far they are? Even though you set up
Yeah.
here, you still have to get closer. The dive's gonna be happening, and then enable the most active, go TP with them, maybe even Suzu, and I think you will do fine there in this fight. Well, even now he's still doing fine, but you can just TP in and help them out. Just play cover afterwards a little bit more,
Yeah.
and you're gonna be fine. Okay, I'll just maybe write it down as well. With our setup, especially, we can dive in more when our dive is pushing. When our dive is doing something, basically. If you want to, obviously, if you can set up before, then it's even better. Like here, it's kind of okay angle, a little bit awkward because I had to give it up. So yeah, this
So
guy's
when you
going.
say like setting up, do you just mean just like a good advantage spot around like the upcoming kill zone?
Yeah, exactly. So this looks okay-ish, I think. It's probably if you see the Ryan, what's your next action? It should be right now.
Not be there anymore.
Not be there, but how? What do you do exactly? Remember the idea, so also dive into the backline, right? This guy
Yeah.
walked in the kill zone, so make commitment, okay?
Mhm.
Where where you should be right now, with who you should be. See what's happening. This ball grappling in. The Genji's over
Yeah.
here.
So I would go with the ball here on the dive.
Yeah, you can just go commit to the dive. You TP in,
Okay.
you shoot the cast, you play cover here, you probably Suzu yourself later because ball might not need it, and then you kind of stay, shoot because this guy made a commitment. Okay, ignore this guy and just go for the convenient targets you wanted. I think that's the
Yeah, it's like
easiest.
a that's like an awareness thing too, because I didn't even know that was going on because I was just, oh, he's coming to me, I'm gonna wall climb
Yep.
and just get away. But I
Yeah.
didn't even know they were going for a dive there.
Yeah, that's why I want you to exactly have this first step. Target priority is a lot about scouting. Think where we want to dive, what's your angles, and you think of what are the targets you're diving enemy. You need to create top 3 targets at least. And then this way you can indicate your position a little bit more. Definitely don't force yourself just, oh, because this good target, I'm going there. No, you can set up accordingly, okay, and then choose what is the most convenient target. Yeah, I'm not just always diving the cast or always diving the Baptiste. No, I just have this top priority list, setting up the position, choosing what's convenient after, it's gonna be okay. Yeah, the position given where we were, you had potential to dive the backline. I'm thinking, when this guy does this, by the way, you can't even, don't have to even TP in now, you can just start walking forward, this way, left, and you're okay. Again, you don't have to use your TP even, yeah? Because we're setting up here, the backline is over there. We're gonna dive in
Yeah.
there. I can also ask for comms if you want to, it might be helpful, but Just this is the smaller part. Okay. Does all of it make sense, or any questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I hope that easy. I don't understand. Yeah, obviously there are also a lot of small ideas, but just start with enable your dive while choosing the best target possible on enemy. Yeah, let's do that. Maybe I can do a game of that real quick. Let's just see if what team we get. Let's hope it's the dive. If not, then at least we just seen who is the most active. What is your win condition? And start there.
Okay.
Okay, any questions so far?
No.
No questions. Okay. All right. No, it's fine. Can warm up first. And of course, not forgetting about just sneaking in extra pressure between the Afudas in general when we trying to heal up something. It's possible, or just sneak in one additional shot too. It's good. Yeah, I'm thinking about anything else, but yeah, so far I think this should do the good work. Mostly just improving the awareness can help out, and then you can educate your setup afterwards. That should be great help for sure. Timing is more of the same thing, just awareness where the enemy is walking, where your teammates are walking, and then it makes it easy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm with a dive comp, I just look. I guess it doesn't have to be at the dive, but just look. The less mobile targets are generally the ones I want to probably look at more.
Yeah, generally speaking. Generally speaking. Watch where your dive angles are. The enemy makes a commitment in the kill zone, and enable dive angles. You're not necessarily staying in the kill zone if you have dive. Oh, you got Doomfist. Yeah, let's hope the Doomfist will not get banned.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a similar idea. Yeah, Doomfist Genji, perfect. Perfect comp for us. Okay. Just only thing for now. Enable your dive while choosing the best target possible in the enemy, and this way you educate your setup. Yeah, we're gonna see what the team combo is. Probably expect some snipers and defense, maybe Ashe, Widow. Can also expect Hanzo, stuff like that. And probably will think, okay, those guys, where they are, where our dive angles, who I will stay with to set up to dive those guys. And this way it's gonna be easier. Definitely don't be afraid when the dive is diving, you can commit TP and go in.
Okay. I guess I just need to. I'll probably really practice of just being more aware of like where the divers are at all times, regardless of what I'm doing.
Yeah, ideally, if you're pushing into masters, this should be the big thing you want to practice. Just create the mind map where the targets are, and you kind of remind yourself, okay, Cassidy, where's the cast now? Okay, he's spawning. Okay, where he's gonna be next? You make predictions, thinking where they might be. Obviously, not the most correct ones because you don't necessarily know what their next decision is gonna be, but at least you kind of making general predictions. So this way it's gonna be easier. You're like, Cass, he got less mobility, so I definitely don't expect him to be on the top right away. Maybe there's gonna be something else where he's gonna be low ground. Okay, and then there's the same thing you can do about flankers. Tracer, I expect her on the flank because how much mobility they got.
Yeah.
Okay, see your dive angles, your Kenji's and Spawn, probably looking for some cheap damage, and your dive area is probably this bridge, kind of maybe a little bit past the bridge afterwards. Okay, you have, don't have Doomfist anymore, but it's fine. So you can maybe even think about just this guy on the Genji a little bit more when they actually gonna make commitment. Try to dive those guys. A little bit too far there, yeah. I don't think we can do too much, but see from here, you can also think, okay, what are the convenient targets I will be going for? What do you think? By looking at their team, what are the most best targets?
Maybe the Sojourn and the ERA.
Surgilaria. Okay. So, you're gonna be focusing on those exactly with your dive angles for the most part. With where you are. Okay, think where the Lari, where, okay, this happens.
That's unfortunate.
Also, the question is, when you do this, do you know, okay, Lari is there, yeah, if they are, which they were on this angle, I think. That's maybe okay to enable. If not, then probably want to be somewhere else. Alright, think where your Genji will be. Try to enable them. And the Lari, search. Yeah, think where they are. How do you set up to go for the dive on them? Lari search, Lari search. Okay, search is over here. Can maybe do something there. It's okay, you guys just need to stabilize a little. Okay, perfect. They also got Winston. So Lari search 100%. Watch the setup angles. Where the setup is. Yeah, allow research if possible. Okay, if not, then okay, the fire is fine. Just got deleted there in 2 shots. Okay, that's okay. And see, right after the TP there, you just need to play hard cover and you gonna be okay. Just something to get used to be honest.
Yeah.
You can kind of exist, stay there, but it was good, I think. You see, okay, my Genji is there, probably might expect Lari Surge there, so it's okay.
I'm
Yeah,
really
Lari
trying
Surge
to
and set up
be aware
accordingly
of-
with dive angles. Probably with that Winston can be okay. If they're on the top, yeah, you can just literally TP in right now, yeah. And be ready to Suzu that solar, okay. Wait, what? This guy gets stuck or something? Okay, never mind. Okay, search first, if you can. See where they are. Right. It's okay.
Doge.
See, this time, I'm thinking, if you can shoot their search, it's even more ideal, probably. Sorry, though, you guys been taking good to fight there, stalling for really long to choke. I think that's what you want to look for with the dive. There was good dive area, to be honest. Okay, Winston is over here. How can I set up the fight? Sojolari, where they are, probably main. Might contest you as well. Okay, Sojolari and help out the Winston or Genji. Yeah, where's the Genji? Do you know that? We've been over there. It's okay. It's just making sure you also scout for them. Alright. And basically enable the Genji or the Winston. Okay. Where's the Alaris search? Try to search if you can.
Oh.
That's okay. And see the swaps as well is just most ideal if we can press the tab before the fight too and just confirm whether the targets is even better. It always helps. Yeah, your targets probably will remain the same. I think you need to somehow get on their backline more. You definitely need to avoid their Zarya. Yeah. Eh, yeah. Help out the Reaper. And we can look for the dive in the back from here. Maybe. Okay. Search Jelari all on the main. So, can try to search for them. That's looking decent. Yeah. It was good to be. Just keep shooting the squishy. Yeah, okay. That's okay. That's okay. Yeah, they have a pretty decent sustain there, to be honest. Just all this use was it's okay. I think the dive itself was good. You guys kind of got snowballed in the after the second a little bit, but can be doable.
What do you think of using Kitsune during the Life Weaver tree?
Well, ideally, if you can cut the tree, you would do that. But if you cannot, if your dive is already committed, I think you have to do something there. So you gotta use the Kitsune to just make sure there's even tempo in a way. Or you just gotta choose the target outside of the tree if you can, or just shoot the same target with your divers, so you can maybe try to burst through the tree. Otherwise, I think might be tough. Oh wait.
Do you want me to play?
Okay. Well, up to you. What do you want to play? What's your next fallback option?
I guess Hana.
I think it can be okay.
Okay.
The win condition remains the same as Anna. You don't obviously stay with the divers, but you have long range pressure. Just make sure you have sideline on the divers. You're ready to nade. If you have those, of course. Yeah, have Doomfist. No, yeah, well. So nade is more offensive, and Sleep Dart, when there's more offensive pressure, you can just disable that. Make sure that you answer however is the most aggressive towards you or your teammate. You can always start with that. Yeah, to make sure you keep rotating. So you have the sight on the divers. The diver is going to be around the corner. So you want to get ready for the nade, yeah? Action happens, you just look for the nade. You need look for the nade a little bit more, if possible. Yeah, more offensive pressure, however possible. Right? Need to look for the nade. Nade is sitting there for too long. Need to look for something. Yeah. Even this, it's okay. Just, of course, you can try to play around the cooldowns like you do with the Suzu, but you have to look for options. Okay, open up the angles, look for options for the nade. Yeah, in the areas where your divers are in. Yeah, like this here. Okay, Zarya's bubble. Maybe I can try to nade, or maybe there's something else. Yeah, like their back. That was okay. Yeah, that was pretty decent nade there. See, the Doomfist executed the dive. Perfect. I'm just nading what my divers can dive. Unless you can get an easy kill. Yeah. That's alright. That's alright. Okay, search for options. What we can be needing when you Doomfist. Para, ready to dive. Yeah. It's just kind of with the nade, remember, because it has splash, you don't have to nade the target directly. Just think what is the structure the enemy using and nade there. Nade the structure, and you're okay. You just with the splash you can hit the stuff. You'll be okay. Yeah, that's alright. I see they around the choke. You can just throw it near the corner, a little bit past the corner and near, and it will hit. Because the divers can get there. You'll be okay. That's alright.
Okay.
I might keep up the pressure because, yeah, you're the sniper, right? So might just build dual charge a little bit more. Don't know too much of a one shot, so. Okay, be ready to rotate so we can nade, yeah. That's fine, that happens.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why it's so important to just get in a position as well. You just don't want to have the enemy in front. I mean, your team in front of you. Yeah, other than that, it's all good.
Yeah.
Okay. And just keep thinking where your divers are in, diving, and then you're gonna be staying there. By the way, let Kiri push the card. They need to set up. Your Kiri can push the card because they can TP in. Yeah. Just do think where you can go. What is the convenient sideline where the diver is gonna be? Yeah. Like here, yeah, this looks okay. This is where your divers are too. You can see that area, and you can nade something from here. Yeah, that's what's important. At least we have lone sideline here. Later on, we can always rotate. Yeah. It's okay. It's okay. It was a good target, but just a wrong timing. Okay. Okay. And set up next. Enable the divers. We are getting ready for them to dive in and be ready to nade as well. Don't forget. You can nade around the corners, big splash, hit that, and you'll be okay. Yeah, like this. Yeah, it's alright. They're gonna bubble, so watch out if they push you. Yeah. Yeah. It's, you can try to bait this with a melee if you want. When they are looking at you like this, you expect you to sleep dart right after. It's just a melee. It looks like animation of the sleep dart, and afterwards you can sleep. Yeah, it's a little bit niche, but possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, be ready to rotate. Yep. Need to have the nano in there. If you okay, well, might still regain the tempo actually if you nano the somebody. Okay, never mind. Yeah, Doomfist died, so again, just make sure you reset. Yeah. No, it's all good. Okay, be ready to rotate. Don't go too far because you need to walk there. It takes a lot of time for you. Get in the area, get in the area. They're gonna dive top, right? So get ready with the nano and everything. Not sure. Yeah, you can actually walk here, I think. It's...
Oh, yeah.
it just kind of, you see, yeah, is what I mean. You kind of need to get here first, and your team is gonna go up there, and then you here, and you nano. That's the most...
Ignore that.
Yeah, it's just the hardest thing on Ana, really. The rotations, I think.
I forgot I can't wall climb.
Yeah, well, happens. It's all good. I think we also didn't go over Diana too much, so it's all fine, to be honest. But see,
Yeah.
the ideas remain the same a lot of times in terms of what I'm enabling, thinking about WinCon, there, WinCon. But yeah, at least for now, is what we discussed. Try to implement some of the stuff when you're gonna have dive. Think what you'll be doing with the targets and with how you set up. It should improve the quality there for sure. I think for those matchups. I'll
Yeah.
just call it this, and I'll just summarize then what we got out of this today. What do you think?
Um, the big things I'm gonna keep in mind is kind of setting up around the kill zone for the dive. I could support the dive. Um, I guess being more aware of where my divers are. Um,
Mhm.
timing with my dive, or if it's objective, like the example we used with my ultimate. The timing was too early. Um, what else?
What is what is the thing about the timing with the dive? What do you need to an enemy to do before you're looking for the dive?
Commit to taking space.
Yeah, committing to taking space. That's a big one.
Using,
Mm-hmm.
mhm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Is there anything else?
Using cooldowns too, I guess. While they're committing thing is usually the big thing I would look at. And just for walking forward.
Yeah, I think it's pretty big. So if anything happens to the kill zone, you're gonna be on the target. Just choose the angles you can enable, depending on where the kill zone is. It should be okay. You set up accordingly to where you can enable the dive, the active divers, and also seeing what are the best targets for you to go for. Yeah, like that was a good example. The ball goes in for the torp. I can try to set up there. I can TP in, stay with them, and enable this dive. Or I can also just try to enable something like, oh no, it's a good example. There was a Hazard Genji. Yeah, there was pretty good a target. Maybe try to create 5v4, but just making sure there's right time as well. Yeah, the enemy starts walking, I can try to commit. Or there was example with the ball diving in on the King Zero on the second point. Yeah, you had the good angle. Okay, make sure you're also in there to help them out. You can even, as I mentioned, try to TP in more if you can after just to enable the dive. A lot of times it's pretty decent. You just gotta play cover afterwards,
Yeah.
and should be a good change, I think. Okay, but yeah, I think the biggest is probably the awareness. Just make sure you know your angle is there, angle is set up accordingly so you can fight. Will be good. Let's start with that.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you have any final questions about anything?
Um, how do you play Ilari? Like, you just put the pylon down, take angles?
Yeah, Alaria is a low range character, low to mid range. Might be a little bit awkward because you're healing short range, but the thing is, you just heal whatever is available to you while taking the best angle possible on those long to mid range angles, because a lot of it comes down to your damage, and there's a lot about pylon too, so not necessarily have to always stay in front of somebody and heal like a lot of people think. But yeah, generally speaking, there are gonna be some similarities to Ana, but you can go for deeper angles on the Lari. It's gonna be like 90 angles or something. You have mobility too, so it's possible. You can try to escape. You have the pylon, self-sustain, so you can take angles. Just make sure it's a long range, mid range. It's gonna be fine most of the time. It's kind of to explain this short. Yeah, there's a lot about ability usage to like your pylon, especially. I think can definitely look into that. There are more nuances in that for sure. Mm-hmm.
What support hero is probably like would be the quickest for me to learn coming from
Just
Kiriko.
let me look. Well, we tried Diana before. So do you still want to commit to Ana as well, or
I just whatever I can learn the quickest coming from Kiriko, because the Ana I can tell is like it's a complete opposite from what I'm used to, and it's going to take me a while to
yeah,
get used to.
yeah? There's not too much flanking there, for sure. Like you can do on Kiri. Well, we can try out Ilari, I think, in this case, really. Well, Lucio, Lucio can be a pretty interesting option too. You get a lot of similarities, but it's pretty mechanical demanding too. All the wall rights, all the boop mechanics. You have to put a lot of time to also nail that down. Lucio, Ilari, I think. A similar playstyle, but you're suitable for Ilari, it's more poke, and Lucio, more brawl situations. That's how is that gonna be? Yeah, maybe one of those. Try those out. Maybe if you have a second account or something too, you can also try to play there. See what do you feel like works the best. To be honest,
Okay.
Zenyatta can be interesting option too as well because there's more emphasis on the damage. So you're gonna be taking angles too. You just cannot be flanking, but you can still do that. You can create a lot of damage pressure, but it's gonna be tough because you don't have mobility. So remember that your safe tool is your burst, your right click, your sometimes it's kick as well. You can just
Yeah.
boop the enemy away. Yeah, Zenyatta, Lucio, Lauri. I'm thinking those probably.
I've tried Juno, and when I was playing her, I don't know what other supports could have as much impact as Kiriko. I feel like Kiriko has like a really easy like if you know how to play her really well, I feel like she's easy to climb out of like the lower ranks with. Like the amount of impact she feels like she has.
Yeah, that's for sure. And there's a lot of emphasis on the pressure too. And there's the same about Elari, Zenyatta, big pressure potential. Lucio as well, to be honest. But it's really mechanical demanding for lower elo players. That's why they're not able to pull that off a lot of times, and they just keep staying with their team sometimes and just play the same main angle. Not the most ideal, I think. But yeah, all those are doable. I think with more pressure demanding, it's pretty decent. Yeah. Ana has good carry potential too. One of the best too. It's just a little bit different playstyle though. Yeah. So try to think about one of those characters, yeah. What do you
Yeah.
Does it sounds good?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, let's do those. Then I'm gonna send you the summary as well, and don't forget to send me 2 codes for the review. Let's maybe try to get games where you play with the dive, especially, and should be a good two codes is gonna be enough, and I will look into those if you have time to play. Okay.
Yep. Sounds good.
Okay, so I'm sending you the summary. It's gonna be here. If there are gonna be any questions, as usual, can message. I think should be okay. Maybe let's look into the team comps matchups later on as well. But so far today was mostly playing with the dive, and afterwards we can maybe see that matchups too. So it's gonna be easier step by step, kind of. Okay. Now let's start with that. I will see you later then, and it's gonna be next week or let me see what is. Our next session is what was the time? Oh, it's not scheduled yet, right?
The second one is had to skip a week or two because they were taken.
Oh, yeah, right. There's a week, I just want to say 29th of June. It's still available if you want to aim for that date. 22nd, yeah, 22nd is blocked currently. But yeah, 29th is also available, just in case you want to do earlier one. Just saying.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I might also open up something on the next one too. I just don't know yet if it's possible, but yeah, I will let you know. Okay.
Okay. Yep. Sounds good.
All right. And then I will see you later.